Hey y'all, welcome back to the Laidback Homestead. I'm Crystal and today is pepper seed starting day for me. So this is the final cut that's going to make the 2026 garden. I know I did a seed chat video and I've done a few seed haul videos, but now is kind of where the rubber meets the road and I have to decide who all is really going out into the yard. So some old favorites and some new varieties. Now, I live in zone 9A and it's Southeast Louisiana. And I'm actually a couple days late on this. I should have done this, but it always falls around the holidays. And so it takes me a while to get things going. Now, for peppers, because we do still have a little bit of winter left to come, I start them a week earlier than everything else because I don't have heat mats. I know a lot of people use heat mats and they have great germination with their peppers. I don't. I mean, I would need to buy a ridiculous amount of heat mats to germinate all of the peppers that I'm going to start. And it just doesn't make sense to me. And anytime that I've tried to direct sow peppers into just my seed starting trays, my germination is not great. So the way that I do this one way and one way only. And that's with a little square paper towel and a Ziploc bag. Now, I can get 4 different seed varieties in each bag. I just label where I put each variety, and that way I don't have to use a whole lot of bags. But this is the way that I do it just because I will start coming out every other day. Basically around starting day 3, I will come out and check these bags and we will go from there. Once I see that the seed is starting to germinate, then I move it directly into my seed starting trays. And that's how I end up with the best germination rates that I can get. So let's look at our seeds and see who we're starting. So I have pulled out all of my peppers. This is all of my current pepper seeds. Some of them are duplicates, but most are not. So I do have to kind of edit myself as far as what I'm going to be starting. I'm lucky enough, I have 2 growing seasons here. We have the spring and then we have fall. So a lot of times I will switch up. I'll either do a batch of hot peppers in the spring, sweeter peppers in the fall, or vice versa. It just depends on my mood and what I already have basically stocked in my freezer from the last harvest. So I've already gone through and sorted. These I'm not going to be planting today. These I will. And I'll kind of go through, I will separate these into 2 chapters. So if you're one of those people who likes to jump around in videos, I will have this separated by sweet pepper varieties and hot pepper varieties. So I like to use the Brawny brand of paper towels because they actually rip into, like, you rip one sheet, but then you can rip it in half and you get like the perfect size square. You don't need a lot. You probably could even, I've done this too. I've cut these in half again and just did like 1/8 of a sheet. But today, because I'm already kind of behind, I need to just get going. So we'll start with our sweet peppers. And some of these are new to me and some of them are kind of old favorites. And some I'm just trying again to see if they'll perform better. I don't always have the best luck with sweet peppers here. A lot of these will be grown hydroponically this year because I'm expanding my hydroponic system. And I do feel that the hydroponics setups are basically season extenders for me, for both in the fall and into the summer. So first up, I'm doing the Giant Marconi hybrid. Now this is a hybrid pepper. Again, with my sweet peppers, I do tend to do a couple of hybrids every year just because our production, it's not always the best. I will be starting 4 of each of these seeds. I have a lot. We will see. If I have very poor germination, what I'll typically do is succession sow. So I will give these a week, and if nothing looks like it comes up, then I'll do this again, basically. And I do have a little tray of water. I just dip one end of the paper towel into it because you don't need it to be soaking wet. And then I fold my seeds in, and I actually did end up just folding it in half again, but it's whatever your preference is. And then I will slide this down into the bottom corner, and I just write on top of each quadrant what I'm starting, like so. Now, to save yourself some time, a smart thing to do would be to pre-label all of your bags. I've just been so behind in everything because of the holidays that I feel like I am playing catch up right now. Next up, in our sweet pepper category, we have the Sweet Bella Hybrid. Now, this one here is supposed to be a blocky bell pepper, and it resists 5 races of bacterial leaf spot, plus blight, tabamovirus, and has great yield potential. So this is definitely a new one to me that I'm excited to try, because anything that can offer any level of disease resistance is always going to be a plus. And I know it's a hybrid, and hybrid seeds can be a little costly. Now we have our Ozark Giant. This is colossal bell peppers. They can easily reach 8 inches long. I'm excited about big bell peppers. If you saw any of my other seed videos, I'm kind of on a mission this year. So the Ozark Giant, there's actually a good bit of seeds in here. This one is not a hybrid that I can tell. So that's a good thing, because if it's not a hybrid, you can save your seeds, obviously, from year to year. And I do recommend saving pepper seeds out of your yard, especially when you have something that performs really well, because things do acclimate to your microclimates over time. I think it's 3 years from what I read. After 3 years of growing and saving seed and replanting them, you have a pretty nice sturdy plant that is accustomed to your yard. For me, because we'll be moving to the homestead property, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me right now, because that'll be a whole separate microclimate of its own. This is the Chinese Giant. Chinese Giant. It's an old-fashioned bell pepper. It's huge, 5 to 6 inches deep and wide, but it grows on a compact, bushy plant. That's kind of one of the things that attracted me to this one, especially if you're doing anything hydroponically. If you're not around a whole bunch of trellises, which the way my system is set up here on this property, I don't have a whole lot of trellises around. So compact plants for the win. Now I do seal up my bags, and first bag complete. I do have a greenhouse. I will leave these in here. We're actually going to be in like the 70 to 80 degree range for the next few weeks. So I won't have an issue with them germinating in here, because it's going to get hot in here. Now, if you don't have a greenhouse, what I recommend, and what I've done for years before I had the greenhouse, is I just put them on top of my refrigerator, and they've always germinated. You know, if they were going to germinate, they did it. So you don't have to have a greenhouse in order to get this system to work. It will pretty much work anywhere. The only thing you really have to do is be diligent. You do have to check your bags. And once you start to see germination happening with one seed, you can pretty much guarantee it's happening with the rest in some capacity. So you do have to be ready to go. So what I will do is I will end up actually, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go and get my seed starting tray, fill it with dirt, so that the moment the seeds start germinating, I just put a little hole, drop it in there, root side down, because that's the part that's going to sprout first. It's going to be the little white root, and then I'm good to go. I know that seed's germinated. As long as I keep that soil moist, growth should happen. So this is one of the few colored bell peppers I'm going to try to grow this year. It's the orange bell. I don't always have the best luck with colored bell peppers. I mean, yeah, they all turn red at some point, right? I mean, other than maybe certain varieties, but and these are older seeds. So when I have an older seed, this was packed for 2023. So when I have older seeds, I do go in a little bit heavier. Your germination rates just naturally are going to decrease over time. It's not as bad in peppers and tomatoes, but I just make it a rule. If the seeds are a couple years old, I go in heavier because extra plants I can give away. But as I was saying, orange bell peppers, they typically aren't as big as what I'm looking for. And sometimes I get frustrated. I don't like things that take up space in my yard if they don't produce kind of the way that I want them to. But a lot of these, I didn't have hydroponic systems set up when I gave these their first go-arounds. So I'm hoping that if it didn't perform super well in my yard, maybe it'll do better hydroponically. We shall see. We'll learn together. Now this is the Emerald Giant Bell Pepper. I tried this a couple years ago. Again, these are a little bit old. It really just says it's a blocky green bell pepper. Supposed to do well, but I don't really remember them being super big. So I'm going to give them a go. I've got the seeds, may as well plant them. Why not? Now this year I am going to be growing sweet bananas. I've had these seeds for a while. I did not grow any of these last year and I kind of missed them, honestly. I really just want to pickle them. That's my favorite thing to do. I grew pepperoncinis last year and I pickled those and I loved that. Next up, Yellow Monster. I have tried growing this before and did not have the best luck, but I did have somebody leave me a comment and they said that it grows really well for them and that they are huge peppers. So I'm going to give it a go. Could have just been an off year for me. These again are older seeds. I'm not going in with that many. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I will. I'll do a couple like this because I will be giving away plants. I do every year. So looking at the description of the Yellow Monster, it does say behemoth yellow bell peppers can grow 8 inches long by 4 inches wide. I think the issue I had with these wasn't their size. I think it was the overall production. I kind of remember getting 1 or 2, but I guess I was just looking for a little bit more. We will see. I'm hopeful. So this one is kind of a fun one. The habanero. Looks like a habanero, sort of. Mine didn't quite look like a habanero. But it's basically the fruity essences of the habanero in a pepper without the heat. So I do like a fruity pepper, especially making hot sauces and just for eating in general. But especially for hot sauce blends, I find the fruity notes really pleasant. I have here Hybrid Big Bertha. I grew this last year. It was a decent performer. I don't have a lot of seeds left, only 4. That is the issue, of course, with hybrid seeds. You really don't often get a lot of them unless you want to pay for a lot of them, which I don't. So I will grow these last 4. And what I will do is keep notes, better notes this year. It's a promise I made myself last year, and I did better last year than in years past, but still not as great as I could have. So I'm hoping to expand on that, and I'd like to keep better records of especially expensive seeds like hybrids, if they performed well and if they didn't. I don't want to keep buying seeds, especially if they're expensive like that, if they're not high performers in my yard. Now, this is the giant Akangua, and I grew this last year as well. I liked it. I gave some of these plants away, and I did have somebody who grew them, and even though they had production, they kind of felt like the peppers didn't have a good flavor, just kind of meh. I didn't particularly notice anything off with it, so I am going to be growing them again. I will just not be giving them away, just in case. An old favorite, these seeds are old, King of the North. Now, where I live, I use this as an early pepper variety. I don't believe it performs well in our heat, so I'll start a couple of these just to get the ball rolling with production, and I'll probably only grow these hydroponically. So I do get that season extension benefit, but I'm not going to go crazy with them because I know, and I'm not going to give them away because I think all that's going to do is frustrate people. I try to give away peppers that I know, pepper plants that I know will perform a little bit better in our overall climate. My last of the sweet peppers that I'm starting for now, because I'm already having second thoughts, but I'm going to try to stick with what I have. The last of the sweet peppers is the YOLO Wonder. I've grown this a few times. It does okay. It's been a couple years since I've grown the YOLO Wonder, so I am going in with a few extra seeds. Okay, moving into hot peppers. Now, I say it every year, oh, I'm not going to do as many hot peppers. I've got a whole bunch in my freezer that I still need to process and do something with. And that's true. But here we are. Some of these are new to me, and that's just exciting in and of itself. And that's kind of why I'm just going to grow them and see if we like them. And some of them are old favorites. So the first one is the Padron. I just bought these on a whim. It's kind of reminds me, at least the description reminds me of a shishito, where it says it's an appetizer in Spain, early maturing, thin-skinned peppers. But every so often you'll bite into one that is fiery hot. Now these are also new to me. These are the purple serranos. I grow serranos every single year. It is my favorite pepper for making salsa. And I came across purple serranos. So I'm kind of excited about this one. I'm going to go in a little heavy. I also think it would be a cool plant, pepper plant to give away. So I will have a couple of extra of these for my friends. I'm just curious, are all gardeners the same? I always start too many seeds with the intention of giving away plants, even to people who are probably less than enthusiastic about getting plants. But I kind of like force plants on people. Oh well. This is the one my son picked out. It's the Scotch Bonnet Red. This is going to be insanely hot. I'm not really sure what we're going to do with that. He wanted it, so I will give it a try. I'll probably end up only keeping one of these plants, so if all of these seeds come up. I do have a couple of family members who really are into super spicy foods like me, so they'll be getting the next batch of seeds. Next batch of plants, I should say. Now this one I'm really excited about. It is the fish pepper. And this one kind of had a backstory, but it's also an ornamental pepper plant. The foliage and the peppers are both variegated. So that's why they have like the stripes on them. It says it's a very hot fruit, 1 to 2 inches long, and was used to season fish and shellfish in Baltimore and Philadelphia back in the 30s and 40s. So I'm really growing this more so for the story. I love anything really to do with history. It's just in my blood, and anything with a story, I'm pretty much just going to grow it. And now that I know it's used or was used to season fish and shellfish, which I live in Southeast Louisiana, we have an abundance of both of those things. I'm kind of excited about growing this one. Okay, so I went back and forth on this. I have the original Ancho Poblano seeds that I planted out I have been on the hunt to get a really big poblano pepper so I can make chili rellenos. My poblano pepper that I grew last year, it started to kind of take off towards really in the fall is when I got my biggest harvest, and it went until we got knocked out by a freeze. So I'm going to start some of the original ones, but I don't have a whole lot of faith that they're going to grow big. Now, the other thing that I have done, making a mess. The other thing that I've done though is I've actually saved some of my own poblano seeds from one of my peppers, and I'm going to grow those as well. And we will compare. I have separated them on my paper towel, and I'll probably need to indicate somewhere which ones are which, maybe on my bag. Now, where I live and inside my greenhouse, it stays pretty humid, but if you are actually getting a winter and it's dry for you, you do need to come out and check your bags. Make sure that the paper towels stay moist. They don't need to be wringing wet, but I'll go ahead and drop a few drops of water in if I feel like they're getting a little bit dry when I come and do my daily checks. Next up, I have the pumpkin spice jalapeno. I've grown this before. These seeds are old. It's just a fun thing to grow. I mean, I don't remember. Oh, whoa. I did not mean to do that. Quite a lot of seeds came running out of there. I don't remember if they had a fruity note to them. Let's see. It just says spicy, ornamental, and well adapted to hot, dry climates, which I don't really live in a hot, well, the last few years it has been pretty hot and dry here over our summers. So, but it's a fun one to grow. I just remember it being really ornamental, and a lot of people are familiar with jalapenos. So then when you show up with an orange jalapeno, it kind of intrigues people. Like, oh, what's that? An old tried and true one for me. This is the Sugar Rush peach. The Sugar Rush peach is hot. It's very prolific. I didn't even grow them. I probably haven't grown these in the last couple of years. These seeds are from 2020. You really only need one of these plants in your yard. Now, granted, these seeds are 5 years old, so we'll see if any of these come up. I may be succession sowing those at the end of the week, but they are very prolific, very fruity. They produced all throughout the summer here, which is unusual for most peppers. It's just so hot here. But they did really well, and then they went gangbusters back in the fall and produced well up until the first frost took them out. So you don't need a lot of them. They are spicy, unless that's, what you're going for. But I'll be growing the hot Thai again. This is the Big Thai Hybrid. If you saw any of my harvest videos, you know how prolific this plant was. Insane. You don't need a lot of these. They, again, produce. And this guy produced through some of our first frosts even. We got down to 29 degrees with a few days of frost after that, and it was still producing. The last freeze took it out. We hit like 27, which is just unusual down here at this time of year. That's more like late January, February temperatures for us. So I'm not really sure what was going on. And now it's January and it's 70 degrees. So maybe winter's done, which I'm okay if winter's done. I'm excited for the spring. Even though I really didn't get a break this year from gardening, I don't know, I'm still excited. Now, this one's labeled hot pepper, and that's why I put it in this category. But the Italian pepperoncinis, I grew these last year, and I think I mentioned earlier, I pickled them, and I love them because I like to make the Mississippi pot roast and Mississippi chicken recipes. I think I even have one of my first cooking videos was that, but it requires pickled pepperoncinis, and I was always buying them. And then it just dawned on me like, hey, grow your own, pickle them, put it in your freezer, and then you don't have to buy them all the time. And so that's what I did last year, and I loved it. Now, it says they're hot. Mine weren't hot. Do with that what you will. I still put it in the hot category just because I don't want to steer somebody wrong. Now, one of the things I am going to be growing a lot of this year, or at least that's my intentions, is cayenne. Again, where I live, cayenne pepper is a major spice that we use. We use it for pretty much all Cajun cooking. I don't know too many Cajun recipes that don't have cayenne in it. And I just really want to, there's a lot of seeds in here. How old are these? These are from 2020. I have a newer pack. No, I don't. These are both from 2020? Okay, I don't know how I ended up with 2 cayenne seed packets from 2020 from the same company. I don't know. They're both open too, which is, you know what? It was 2020. We're just going to blame it on the fact that it was 2020. Nothing good came out of 2020. At least not in my universe, it didn't. So I put a bunch of these down. I feel like I really should put a bunch down from both packs. Like, maybe just because I have a ton of these. We'll go heavy with it. We'll see what we do. If we got to start all those seeds in the next week, then so be it. Hopefully 2020 can redeem itself a little bit for me. The other cayenne that I'm going to grow, and I am doing these 2 separately for a reason. This is the cayenne blend. It's a mix of red and yellow cayenne pepper plants. The yellow is just cute. I think it's just cute, gimmicky. The issue I'm having though, and this is why I'm growing them separately and not on the same paper towel. Oh, look, and the seeds are, can you see in there? They're color coordinated. So you know, at least at the time of planting, which one's red and which one's yellow. That's cute. Now, I don't know if it'll maintain its color once I put it on here. After a few days, I think that color is going to bleed into the paper towel, but I'm not worried about that. I'm going to use all these seeds up. I will have a lot of cayenne plants for sure. The thing is, these I tried to grow last year and they just did not perform well for me. But I know I've successfully grown the red cayenne in this yard plenty of years before. So I am isolating them to see if it's a seed issue or maybe it was just a one-off year issue. Next up, another one, tried and true. These are my own seeds that I've saved, but Tabasco. Again, Louisiana, Tabasco, you know, hot sauce, they go together. It is what it is. So since I make hot sauce now, I want to grow, well, I'm just going to grow all of them. I'm just going to go in with all of them. I did not grow these last year. These seeds are from 2 years ago, but I regretted not growing these last year. I missed them. And I gave away a lot of my seeds. Not that that bothers me because I'm a sharer, but I'm kind of regretting it because now I don't have a whole lot and I'm hoping some of these germinate. If not, I'm going to have to buy more seeds. My husband will be thrilled. I mean, this box is a little bit ridiculous. I get it. Okay, who is left? One left. One left. One paper towel left. So I grew these last year. Sweet Moruga. Now these I did not find super spicy, but I know other people did. So they definitely have some heat. I'm not going to say that they're a true sweet pepper. They have some heat. They weren't terrible. It does say smoky sweet flavor of the famous super hot pepper without the insane burn. This says it's a nearly heatless version. So maybe it was a one-off for the people that felt like it had heat. I don't know. I still put it in my hot pepper section just because that's the feedback I got last year. So for safety's sake. But I am growing it again and I'll be giving it away because the people who did grow it last year alongside of me liked it. They thought the peppers were fruity and had a decent level of heat for what they were intending to do. They were also very prolific. This guy, he had a rough start in my yard and I think I only had one plant of the sweet moruga actually make it in my yard last year. And because it was started kind of late, it didn't produce until the fall, but what it did produce, we got a wonderful harvest. And I do want to just say, if you have any pepper recommendations, go ahead and comment them down below. I write down every single recommendation that has been left for me in the comment section. I have a little notepad in my house, and anytime I see a comment recommending a seed, either variety or a tip or trick or whatever, I write it down. I do appreciate all of the notes and the sharing that I get. I just love that. So if you have one you'd like to add to my list, by all means, comment it. This is spring 2026, at least so far. I feel like I always say, okay, this is all I'm planting. And then I turn around and a week later, I want to plant more. So maybe I should title this The First Peppers of 2026, because I just know myself well enough to know that there's a strong chance there'll be more than this. But if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Appreciate you hanging out with me today. I could talk about seeds all day long. If you're into gardening and homesteading content, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, stay blessed.